Hi, Nicholas here. Welcome to the Akousunesis method. Today we're going to look at the circle of fifths. So if you make your way to my website, it's under courses, Akousunesis courses, and this is lesson 24. There's a link below in the description. Okay, let's get going. Circle of fifths. The first thing we're going to do, it might be a good idea just to go, maybe pause the video, read the actual lesson, and then come back. It might be helpful. But let's start. What we want you to have a look at before we get into the circle of fifths is I'm going to show you the waveforms, all the intervals in terms of two waveforms. So we're going to have a bass note and a high note. So if you look at the diagram here and you have a look at this blue waveform here, it's the same in every diagram, and the diagram moves down from octave 7 minus 6, and the black waveform is the high octave. And all we're doing as we go down, we're just going to come down like this. Now, it doesn't necessarily start on C. There's no frequency here, so it could be any of the octaves. So if it was this one, that would be the blue, and that would be the black, and coming down that way, right? But I'll just show you with the C. So what we're doing, you can imagine the black is double the frequency, right, of the blue. Right? So an octave's just doubling in frequency, right? Now you can imagine what we are, if the black was a spring, all we're doing is going to stretch the spring. And if you focus on the center point here as we stretch, you can see where it crosses the 0 amplitude line here. And I've divided up these notches into 12, and each notch is a semitone. And it's not linear in time. It actually, there's more time over here and they get smaller. They're designed so the frequency sounds even as you go up, as you stretch this, and it's called equal temperament tuning. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the black and we're going to move it up to the next notch, and that's a 7. So basically what we're doing is we're coming down. So that's the sound of a 7 there. Now if you look at the waveform, you can see that an octave is quite smooth because it crosses at the same 0 point the two waveforms here, here, and here. So it's a very smooth sound. Now a 7th, you can see how it doesn't cross at the same point, either there or there, right? So it's sounding a bit more dissonant. And so we're going to keep on coming down. So as we come down, right, these notches from left to right is coming down this way. And the actual interval is counting from right to left. So if we count from right to left here, we've got 12 notches, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And as we move to the next one, we're counting 1, 2, 3. So from now we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So as we go down and we count from right to left, we're counting from here to here, okay? And that's the interval. How many semitones in the interval? Because we know that a major 7th is just a semitone down. A minor 7th is 2 semitones, so 1 over there here, 1, 2, right? 1, 2. A 6 is 1.5, which is over here, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So the 6th interval itself, that's coming down. The 6th interval itself, right? Coming from the root note, so that's 3.5 coming from the high octave, right? But coming from the bass, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I land right there. All right, so all we're doing is we're stretching out the spring, right? Think of it as a spring, stretching it out. And we get to a +5, then we get to the 5th. Now, if you look at the 5th, the thing with the 5th, and it sounds the smoothest, because the waveforms line up, right? They actually hit at the 0 point, so it's exactly 1.5. So it's why it sounds the smoothest, and it's the closest to the octave, the 5th. Right? It's very smooth. And as we keep on going, we have a -5. That's 6 semitones, which is exactly the halfway point, and that's a diminished 5th. Right? And we have a 4th. We keep on going to a 3rd, -3rd, 2. Right, there's 2 there. And I'll just slide this up so you can see it and bring it up to there. So yeah, the 2 is, so we're down here, right? Or up here. Right, so we're on a second, and so there's two notches coming down that way, from high down. Right, and then -2 is the 1 notch. Okay, and you can see that if we come back there, that would line up exactly the black over the blue, and we're at the same note. Okay, so that's the waveforms. Right, so I wanted to show you how they look like. Now let's get into the circle of fifths. Okay, I'll get you to read all this, okay? Because I'm not going to. The video is going to go on really long, and I'm just trying to get a few points out. So this isn't vital to understand. This will come in time, but what we want to talk about is, firstly, how they came up with this diagram, right? Why did they choose a fifth? So there's a few reasons. Well, I think one of the main reasons is that because it's so smooth, right? But it also relies on the design of the keyboard. Now, there was 3 factors when they designed a keyboard. If you didn't have the black notes and you just put all the notes down in a row and you had, say, 12 notes, your fingers, you couldn't make chords. Your fingers couldn't even reach the octave, right? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 would be right up here. And there's no way you can stretch out there, right? So then one consideration, now I don't know the process they went through to actually design it, but if I were to design this myself, I would know certain things were for sure. So firstly, you wanted your hand to be able to make an octave, right? So they'll pick the most comfortable stretch, and I'd say it'll be about that. Well, it is exactly that because that's the keyboard. So they chose that distance, right? So the next step would be, all right, I've got this distance. Now, how many notes we can cram in here? So there was also, if they put 12 notes in there, right, you wouldn't have a visual pattern. You wouldn't be able to recognize visually, right? So you need a pattern. So that's another reason, right? So you need a pattern. And the notes would be too thin. You probably wouldn't be able to put your fingers on them, right? So they had to leave notes out. So they had to decide on what notes to put in there and how many notes. So they came up with a scale. Now, I don't know why they came up with the Western major scale, because it could have been slightly different. But they came up with the Western. If anyone knows why they chose the Western major scale, you can put it in the comments. But in any case, it's 7 notes, right? And then they know the exact notes now because it's a scale, right? So they knew there was they came up with this scale, right? And then because they've had that scale, right, they know now where to put the black notes. And you could have put a black note here, right? And you could have had a different sounding scale, right? If the black note that was there, right, it would sound like this. So it would sound a bit different, right? Because this wouldn't be there, it would be there. So this pattern they chose is absolutely beautiful. And so now the next thing you want to do is you want to represent each one of these notes around a circle. And a circle's a good choice because we're talking about waves here, right? A wave is a repeated pattern. And this is also a repeated pattern of 12 notes, right? It just repeats itself. So you can represent something around a circle when it repeats itself, right? Now you want to choose how are we going to represent these? We could have just went up chromatically, just going C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, right? We could have chosen that, and that would have worked, right? This was elegant because the way they designed this is as you rise up, you can see how the black notes, the sharps here are the added black notes, and you can see how they add a new black note each time, and the previous black note's the same. If you look at the key signature, you can see the F sharp here, right? Then the C sharp, and there's an F sharp there, an F sharp, and then that has the F sharp and C sharp, right? Okay, and then we just add the new one, G sharp, and it keeps on going around like that. So we're just adding. So let's have a look now of how we can find those. Now, I'll bring this up here, and I might bring that other diagram back. Remember the fifth rule? So the fifth rule is how to find all your fifths, right? So if you find all your fifths, you just start, I won't go over the fifth rule, you know what it is, right? Starts on a white note, ends on a white note, and then you just got B and B flat as your exception. Well, one thing you want to do is remember this order, right? So you can find out what this order is by just knowing the fifth rule and applying it. So you could go C onto G. And the next thing you do, once you find the G, you do the fifth rule from the G, G onto D. And then you do the D onto A. Now you can come back down here. It doesn't matter where you start, but on the A, we apply it to the E. From the E, we go to the B. From the B, remember the exception, we go to the G, F sharp. From F sharp, we go to the C sharp. From the C sharp, we go to the G sharp. G sharp, we go to the D sharp, right? And D sharp, we go to the A sharp. And then, so which is the B flat, A sharp. And then back to the F again, and then back to the C. So we went around the whole circle by applying the fifth pattern, right? Remember the fifths. So if you know all your fifths, you know a lot. Fifths are very important. So now let's go back to here again. And we're going to see how elegant this design is of the piano. It's so elegant. Now we can work out our major scale. So they designed the keyboard to have the Western major scale as all the white notes and then all the other notes as black notes. So now we have a nice recognisable pattern which repeats. So we've got root note, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Now there's no black notes, right? So they made that C. Why they didn't call that A, B, C, I have no idea, but they called it C. So what you do now is if you now go around the circle and plot all your fifths and then apply it again, if you have a look at the pattern, let's just have a look at the pattern between, say, the 1 and the 6. Can you see the two black notes here with a semitone and then another two black notes, right? If I go to the C, that pattern is exactly the same, right? So it means the tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone will be tone, tone, so root note, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, right? It'll be all the white notes again. And the only difference now is that on the C, we have a black up there, but on the G, we got the white note. So we have to raise that to get to a major seventh. That's the F sharp. So that's one F sharp. G has one F sharp. We apply the rule again onto D. The previous F sharp will remain because if we go tone, tone, see the F sharp, semitone, then we go tone, tone, and then we have a new sharp. It would normally be a minor 7. We have to change the minor 7 to a major 7, and C sharp is our new sharp. Okay, and then let's look at the A. So now we're on D. We just do our fifth rule on the A. Root note, tone, tone. There's a C sharp, semitone, then tone. There's the F sharp, tone. So far we're the same. Now the new note is G sharp because normally it would have been there, tone, semitone, right? So you can see as we go around, we gain a sharp, okay? Now we can keep, with the Akousunesis method, we stop there. We stop at B. You can keep on going if you like to think of it as F sharp, but the harmonic keys, signatures, right? We don't really need to remember the F sharp and G sharp because it's the same note, but it's up to you if you really want to. It's, I always think of that as G sharp, but you can certainly think of it as F sharp too, right? So if we're going around like this, it's going to be F sharp, it's going to be C sharp, and we're going to keep on going, right? So if that's A flat, right, it's actually G sharp, right? The problem is when you keep on going, you end up sharpening a note that you've already sharpened, so which is a black note, and you change a black note back to a white note. And to do that, it's confusing, so you have double sharps. So anything past this point, you have double sharps. That's why they go this way, because again, the pattern now is we gain a flat each time. So we can go this way, or we can go this way. I'm going to explain what the circle of fourths is in just at the end of the video, or the last thing, right? But going this way, right, we can go this way. And if you keep on going past this point here, so we got D flat, G flat, you get double flats. So when you, C flat, right? Past here, you get double flats, right? And you don't want double flats, right? Because it's confusing. So I never go past G flat. C flat, C flat's B, right? There's B. Why think of it as C flat? I mean, that sounds stupid to me. Think of it as B, right? So usefulness of, it's good to know the enharmonic keys, sure, but applying them, you don't really need to know all those. You just need to know because B and C flat's the same. All right, so the fifth rule, we used that, so we saw that, right? Now, one thing we want to do, right? So all this theory is designed around being able to play the piano in real time, okay? So there's certain things you need to know to be able to play in real time, and these are the things you need to know. You need to know the order. You need to remember the order, right? C, G, D, A, E, B, right? And you can practice by remembering by doing that fifth rule and applying it, okay? And you need to know the order backwards, B, E, A, D, G, and C, right? Now, you don't have to know them like instantly, but, you know, you have to think about them. What's important is you'll find them, the chords instantly. You won't even think about it. Your hands will just go to the chords. If you see a chord, your hands will just go to it. That's where you want to get to, right? But all this helps you with understanding, and it helps you to find those chords. Right? And again, when you're going around with the flats, we want to remember F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat, right? We also want to remember is that the key of C has no black notes, the key of G has one black note, D has two, A has got three, E has got four, B has got five. So by just remembering the amount of black notes, that's another, these are memory associations we're making to help us find these things in real time. And we also have that visual in my tips section of the, I'll quickly go there. What works together with that, and I've got it in the tips section of my website, is a visualization of all the keys as well, right? So you can see that C has no black notes. G has got one here. D has got two. A has got the three, and so forth. Right? Let's just get back to the course. 22. So all the information I've got on my website, it's in the Akousunesis School of Music, and it's a good resource. Now, I'm not overloading with information, right? Just the information that I feel that is going to help you become a better player and play in real time. You know, this theory, you can go delve into the theory, and it's really deep, right? And we do go into it in modes, but I do it in a way that we're going to be creating some useful tools that we can use in our composition, right? So the theory we're going to be applying. Every theory we do in the Akousunesis method, we apply it to playing, right? So let's have a look at that now. So we're going to look at the circle of fourths. Why do they call it the circle of fourths? Well, a fifth inverted is a fourth, right? And it's best illustrated in the key of C. So if we're on C, right, and we apply the fifth rule going up the keyboard, right? And we can also, so do we call this a circle of fourths or the circle of fifths? Well, it's both. It's both. But it's not fourths this way. It's not, some people think you're going anti-clockwise, you're going in fourths, going clockwise, you're going in fifths. That's not exactly correct. It's not only the direction you go around the circle of fifths, it's the direction also you go up the keyboard. And there's 4 different permutations you can take. And I've highlighted them here. So let me just show you the inversion. So if we're going up the keyboard, we're on C, and we do the fifth rule, right? From C, the fifth is a G going up, right? Now, if we come down a fifth, right? If we come down a fifth, right? We're on F, right? It's a different note. But if we come down a fourth, there's a fourth, it's a G again. So a G up here, and if we take that, if we go down this way, it's the same as taking that C and moving it up here, right? There's your G, there's your C, there's your G, the C, right? So we can either just play the G down here, or we can move that. An inversion is taking the bass note and moving it up higher, right? Now that's a fourth. That interval's a fourth. How do we know it's a fourth? There's our fifth rule. A fourth is just a tone down. There's a fourth. So a fifth inverted, take the bass note, move it up, is a fourth. Right? A fourth inverted, there's a fourth, is a fifth. So one inverts to the other. That's why you can call it the circle of fourths. But which way is a fourth and a fifth as you're going around? Well, if you're going up to the right, if you're going to the right and going up the keyboard, you're going up in fifths, right? If you're going down the keyboard, right, and you're going this way, you're going anti-clockwise now, and you're going down the keyboard, you're going in fifths, right? Again, fifth to B, that's a fifth down to B flat to E flat is a fifth. You go down in fifths, right? If you go up the keyboard but go anti-clockwise around the circle of fifths, right? So you're going from C to F, you're now going up in fourths, right? So it all depends on which direction you're going. If you go clockwise up the keyboard but go down to G, you're going down in fourths, right? So it's not just the direction you're going around the circle of fifths, it's also the direction you're going the piano together, right? Two directions, around the circle and up or down the piano. But it's the circle of fourths and the circle of fifths, it's the same thing. You get to the same, pretty much the same thing, right? So there's our fifth. All right, so, and I've explained that here in these four little statements here, right? So you can reread this to follow that. So how are we going with time? All right, I might go back and just explain this little section here, Okay, so there are 12 notes applying the Western major scale to the formula. So all the notes are arranged around the circle of fifths, perfect fifth. Okay, we said all that. And we talked about when we travel, we gain a sharp, right? So it turns out by arranging the scale in fifths, there are smooth transition. Oh, okay, so that's one thing we want to talk about. So one other consideration about the circle of fifths is that each key is only a semitone difference. And by you knowing which note is the difference, like we know that we've gained a new, when we go from, say, C to G, we know we just have to sharpen the F to F sharp. When we go to D, from G to D, we know we're just going to sharpen C to C sharp, right? So that's going to be the difference, that semitone. By knowing those, they can be very helpful in composition. Because, for instance, if we want to create a song and we want to move from, say, the key of C to G, right, we can choose chords to either, we can focus in on that F to F sharp note, right, knowing that's the difference between those two keys. And if we avoid playing that note, you're suddenly you're in some ambiguity here because you haven't actually defined the key you're in. Now, if you start on C, all right, it could be a giveaway that's the Ionian, but because you haven't pressed the F yet, that would be the clincher. If I was in C, the clincher would be if I hit that F. Then I'm really now in the key of C. But if I don't press that F, I could be in the key of G, but just in a different mode. I could be in the Lydian mode, right? So, by knowing what notes are different, that can help you in composition, right? So we know that it changes by a semitone each time as you go all the way around. All the way around, it will change by a semitone. And if you're going this way, exactly the same when we flatten the notes. So F, we flatten the B to B flat to make it a fourth. So we turn a -5 into a fourth, So it's just a semitone change. So if we know B flat's the difference between F and C, we could avoid B flat when we're starting off a composition and make it ambiguous where we're not sure what it is yet. And then we could introduce it, right? And then it will define it, and it starts to define it. And then when we're in B flat, we could introduce if we know the difference to E flat, you know. So it's very handy. Okay, so now let's just explain about the Ionian, the modal equivalence of an Ionian E is equal to the Mixolydian sharp minus 7. So what's some Mixolydian? So if we're in the key of C, right, so the X can be any of the 12 notes, right? So if we're in the key of C, for instance, a Mixolydian is the fifth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I play from G to G, all the white notes, I'm playing Mixolydian, G Mixolydian. So I don't have to actually know the modal, the melodic interval series, right, of this, saying tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone. I don't have to know that. All I have to know is what key is a G Mixolydian in, and then I'll know all the notes to press because I know the key, the Ionian of the key, then I know all the modes. So if I know that G is the Mixolydian of C, I just know it's all the white notes, so I can just focus on the white notes. If I will say C Mixolydian, if C was the Mixolydian, I'll do the fifth rule and go F. F is the lower, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I'll know B flat is in the key of F, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a C Mixolydian, all I have to do is if I know the key that C Mixolydian is in, which is F, I'll know that B flat is the only note you flatten. So I can just play and then just flatten that note when I get there. Focus in on the B flat, right? So in your real-time playing, you just have to focus in on the major scales. That's all you have to know. And you just muck around in the major scales and you could be in any mode, right? And even if when you're mucking around, you're not sure of the modes you're in, you don't really think about modes when you're composing and improvising, right? You get to hear them, what they sound like, but you're not really sort of focusing on that, right? But it all helps you. This theory will help you in your compositions. So let's just have a quicker look at this. So a G Mixolydian, right? We know G Mixolydian is in the key of C. What would I have to do to G Mixolydian to turn it into an Ionian? Would sharpen the minus 7. Because a Mixolydian has a minus 7. If we sharpen that, we have a major F sharp. G, F sharp, right? That's the key of G. Sorry, G with the F sharp is the key of G, right? So that's an Ionian now. So we've taken a Mixolydian, sharpened the minus 7 to a 7. That's what this is. And we've made an Ionian. So G Ionian is equal to G Mixolydian sharp minus 7, right? And vice versa, it works in vice versa too, right? So what about C? What if we can put any note here now, but let's put C. If we put C there, C Ionian, well, that's C Ionian, right? Right. But what would be C Mixolydian? A C Mixolydian, remember, it was F, which had a B flat. So if I take a C Mixolydian and I sharpen the minus 7, there's a minus 7, C, I tone down, sharpen that to the major 7, which is the white note. Now we've got all the white notes, which is the key of C. So C Mixolydian sharp minus 7 equals C Ionian. That's called a modal equivalent, okay? So that's how that's explained. And I think we're done. Right? So, all right, that's it. So I'm going to see you in the next lesson. I'm not sure what that's going to be. But when I find out, I'll let you know. Okay, thanks for watching. Okay, bye.